Now it's time to move on to the research for mass incarceration. What the research has shown is that the United States has the highest incarceration rate in the entire world. We only make up 4.4% of the world's population, and yet we house 22% of the world's prison population. Statistics also show that nearly half of all incarcerated individuals in the United States were arrested for nonviolent crimes. These nonviolent crimes were mostly property and drug crimes. Research also shown that minorities such as blacks and Latinos are incarcerated at disproportionately higher rates than other races in the U.S. When we look at the 2010 census, the incarceration rate was broken down by different races. Blacks at 2,207 per 100,000, Latinos at 966 per 100,000, whites at 380 per 100,000. Now, if you look at this a little bit closer, you can see that this is a really, really big disparity, especially because Latinos are nearly double the incarceration rate of white, and blacks more than triple the incarceration rate. And this is also crazy when you also consider the fact that whites make up more than half of the U.S. population. Now, when we look a little bit further into the African American population, you can see that nearly 1 in 5 African Americans will be incarcerated at least once in their lifetime. Now, continue on, we'll talk about the Marshall Project analysis by the Bureau of Justice Statistics in the UCR over the last 15 years. And what it has shown is that surprisingly, the imprisonment rate of black males has decreased by 24% over the past 15 years. Now, the reason for this is heavily debated. They're not too sure if it's due to natural changes or if it's because of specific reforms such as implicit bias training. But there are generally four theories that are the main argument for the reason why. Number one is crime, arrest, and incarceration are on the decline, so it's only natural that you'd see a decline in African American incarceration too. The next one is the war on drugs have shifted from crack and marijuana to meth and opioids. Uh, Another one is white people are facing a decline in socioeconomic prospects. And lastly, reform is occurring less in rural areas and more in cities. Now, as previously had demonstrated in the last slide, the incarceration rate for African Americans is still extremely high in the U.S., and there's still a lot of room for improvement. And as time progresses, we'll see how uh, the incarceration rate will be affected, but there's still a lot of room for improvement. Now, moving on, we're going to talk about the research for the cash bail system in the United States. More than 60% of people in Americans' prison haven't even gone to trial yet. Approximately 9 out of 10 of those people are in prison because they couldn't afford post bail. Pretrial confinement costs American taxpayers nearly $14 billion each year. And evidence suggests that up to 25% more people could be safely 25% more people could safely be released from U.S. jails while waiting trial if the proper procedures are put into place. In 2006, the jail population in the 25 most populous U.S. counties had a median bail amount of $10,000. At least half of the population was assigned a minimum of a $10,000 bail. Now, I don't know about everybody here, but at least for me, I don't have $10,000 on hand. And I'm assuming most of you probably don't have $10,000 on hand either. So you can understand why that there's such a large amount of people who are being put into prison because they can't afford post bail. And people who are being held in pretrial are more likely to be convicted of a felony, receive a sentence of incarceration, and be sentenced longer than those released in pretrial. The reason for this is mostly because when you walk into a courtroom, you're going to be wearing your jumpsuit, your handcuffs, chains, whatever. And even though jurors when are supposed to remain unbiased and they're supposed to assume that you're guilty and proven and they're supposed to assume that you're innocent to proven guilty. When they see you wearing the orange jumpsuit, there's a bias involved where they're going to assume naturally that you're guilty. Also, people who are held in prison don't get to spend nearly as much time as with their lawyers as somebody who was able to post bail, and that can have a negative impact on your trial. Thank you.